Next guided example in Chapter 3, Variable Transformations, is on how to use the compute routine in SPSS. In compute, the ordinary application of this is to create an additive index in which you combine the codes of several variables that measure the same concept and thereby create a more reliable and valid scale measure of that concept. NES 2012 contains 4 variables that measure level of political activity or political activism even beyond voting. The study asked respondents whether they had engaged in each of the following activities in the past 4 years. Contacted a member of Congress, that's involve_contact. Sent a political message on Facebook or Twitter, that's involve_message. Given money to a political organization, that's involve_org, or signed an internet petition, involve_petition. Respondents who hadn't done these things are coded 0 on each of the variables. So if a person hadn't contacted Congress, they would be coded 0 on that. For each activity, if a respondent had done that, they're coded 1. So we're going to build an additive index here that adds these 4 0 1s together and get a scale that you can tell right away is going to vary from 0, respondent hasn't done any of the 4 things, to 4, respondent has done all 4 things. So let's go to transform. As usual, we just go down 1 notch for compute. And here's what the opening window looks like. SPSS wants to know what we're going to call the variable. That's what they mean by, or what SPSS means by target variable. Let's call it involve scale. We'll leave the E out of involve because the other variables don't have the E in it. Involve scale. Now we jump over to the numeric expression. We're going to combine these 4 variables, the codes of these 4 variables. Let's get down where we can see them. There's involve contact. That's the one about contacting Congress. Click that over. We're going to add that value to, hit plus, involve message. Click that over. Plus, involve organization. It's giving money to a political organization. Click that over. Plus, involve petition. Click that over. So here are the 4 constituent variables that are going to go into involve scale. One other thing that's useful to do here is to click type and label. And we can supply a variable name here. Let's call it Paul involved scale. We can put the E in involve this time. Paul involved scale, so it's a measure of political involvement. Click continue. Looks good. Click OK. There's a compute statement echoed. Let's look at what this variable looks like. We'll go to frequencies. It's from our last module there, and find involve. There's contact, message. There's our new scale, involve scale. Over it goes. Have a look at it here. So, as you can see, there's an asymmetry to political activity. 50.9%, over half of respondents didn't engage in any of those 4 activities. About a quarter, a little bit over 20%, I guess, engaged in one of those. We have 14% who engaged in 2, but it gets rarefied up here in the higher levels of activity. Codes 3 and 4 are fairly sparsely populated, 8.1, and only 3% up here who had done all 4. So this is a situation in which we could use recode in the same variable. Because if we recode this and collapse the final 2 codes, we're going to leave 0 code alone, we're going to leave code 1 alone, we're going to leave code 2 alone. But we're going to collapse codes 3 and 4 into one category, which we'll call 3, coded 3. Transform. In this case, and I rarely recommend into same variables because it is destructive of data, but in this case, we can reconstruct the variable that we just computed. Let's find involve scale. This variable we just created. Notice how more austere the recode into same variables window is, because we don't have to name anything new. There it is. This window looks the same though. Now there's sort of an easy way and a meticulous way to do this, and I prefer the meticulous way. So that way we know we're covered. Old value 0 is going to remain 0. The respondent didn't participate in any of those activities. Old value 1 is going to remain old value 1. Respondents, the 23.7% who did one of those things. Indeed, old value 2, old value 2, we're going to keep those folks the same too. But here, we're going to combine those two high activity categories, 3 activities and 4 activities, range 3 through 4. We'll collapse those into 3. That way we know we're completely covered. And also, just to get everything taken care of, system or user missing and the system missing. That way all respondents are covered a very, very clear way. Click continue. Click OK. Now let's have another look to make sure the collapse went well. Yeah, there we go. That 8.1 and 3% combined for 11.1%. And just as we've been doing throughout this chapter, let's go back to data. There's our new scale. As before, let's get rid of those decimal points. And as before, we do have to supply very useful labels here because we got to know what we're measuring. Let's call 0 low. This is a low political involvement. Add. We'll call 1, it's kind of medium low, so we'll call it mid low. We'll call 2 mid high. And we'll call 3 high. That looks right. Let's have one more look at it as usual. There you go, a nicely labeled 4-category ordinal. Before proceeding, don't forget to save the data set because you have changed it. I'm going to go back over here and I'm just writing right over my new NES 2012 new.